morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Anita Best podcast. My name is Anita Best, your host, and this episode is proudly brought to you by Awake Tours. Yeah. So today we have on Joey, and Joey embarked on a journey which I don't even know if I could ever see myself doing, and I want to get him on here and get into his brain and get into the mentality of what it's like to walk across New Zealand on foot for 138 days and do 4 million steps. That is absolutely hectic. Absolutely hectic. So he did one of the popular trails out there, of which took him 138 days. And he was walking on foot for about 10 hours each day through heat, snow, rain, walking for 10 hours with soaking wet clothes, sleeping, waking up, putting on soaking wet clothes and walking for 10 hours again the next day with distances of like 3 days between each towns, pushing him onto the next town. And to me, it's just absolutely nuts. It's crazy. So today we're going to get him on and speak about the mentality that he had to have and what struggles he found mentally and physically in doing something so incredible. Okay, let's get him on. All right, everybody. I have Joey on the phone. Joey, how are you?
Good, thanks, Anita. How are you?
I'm very, very well. First up, thank you for joining us today and allowing us to ask you many, many questions about your journey. I've tried to explain it to a few of my friends, and then I'm like, I just need to get him on and fucking talk. I'm like, because it's hectic, and they're like, what? He just walked and blah blah blah. I was like, I don't know. We'll get him on.
Yeah,
and we'll get him to tell his story.
Yeah, it's a bit nuts to people who haven't really heard about it.
Yeah, literally. It's nuts to me because hiking and walking is fucking hard. So I'll just get straight into it and let you take over the top. So just an overall explanation of your journey from where to where, or what the fuck was it even?
All right, so the journey started in Cape Rang over the top of the North Island in New Zealand, and it winds down the centre of the North Island to Wellington, which is 1,700 k's away, and then you cross over to the South Island and walk all the way down to Bluff at the very bottom. So all up, you do about 3,000 k's,
all by
which
foot.
Is it's a fair few.
Oh my God!
And you end up climbing vertically 45,000 meters.
That's insane.
So like 45 k's up.
And how long was your journey, like from when you left to when you got back? How many days?
So it took me 138 days. So just showing 4.5 months.
That is fucking nuts. You're a special breed of human. That's so fucking impressive. That's crazy.
It's a long time to have a bag on your back and not just be living out of that. That's for sure.
Yeah. Which leads me into my next question, where did you originally get the idea to do such a crazy thing, and like did it take a lot of planning?
So my friend who I hadn't seen for about 2 years, Hamish, he messaged me one day and said that he was thinking of coming back to New Zealand from overseas and was wanting to do this walk, and if I'd wanted to join him, and I didn't really think too much about it and just agreed to it. And then
fuck it, why not?
And then about we probably started talking about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And the planning didn't really start till about 6 months before we were going to leave. Like I had pretty much all the gear needed to do the walk anyway, so it was more just like planning of the trip and like trying to organize legs and and that, because there's a bit of planning as to where you're staying and how you're getting food the whole time. Usually the hardest thing.
Did you hike as a hobby, or like had you done something similar like recreationally normally, or is it
no, so like the longest hike I'd been on before this was like 3 days. So
it's not 138.
Sort of just jumped in at the deep end. But it's opened my eyes to like a new way of travel. Like travel by foot is like such a mint experience. So you just seem to take in so much more. Like you really just do stop and smell the roses.
Literally.
you just take so much more in your environment, and you meet so many more people, I feel, as well.
Yeah.
Especially because you got a big ass bag on your back and you're walking through the middle of town. Everyone's like, what are you up to, bro? Yeah.
What are you doing? That's crazy. So yeah, I guess for people who know nothing about this type of thing, which is me included, where or how did you sleep and eat and drink?
Oh yeah. So in our bags we're carrying tents and air mattresses and sleeping bags and stuff. So in the North Island, a lot of it you're just staying in campgrounds or on someone's land. Like landowners have set up little campsites for people on the trail, and or when you go through a town, you just stay at the campground. But when you're like in the middle of the bush, you just find a campsite that suits. Yeah. So usually what dictates where you stay in the bush is water. Because you got to replace your water. So usually by a stream or a river or a lake, and then you just carry food between towns. So for the most part, you're carrying like 4 to 5 days food maybe, but there's a couple sections in the South Island where you had to carry like 9 days food.
That's so crazy.
which got the pack weight up quite a bit.
Literally. And when you mean you had to go by a stream and stuff, is that so you literally could have drinking water and you filled up like in the stream, or like to shower?
Yeah. So you so you fill up your drink bottles and it's just from the stream, because you have like water filtered drink bottles. But if the water's like a fast moving river or stream, then you generally don't need to filter it as much because all the toxins get flushed out of it.
Yeah. So that's crazy. That's type of shit I wouldn't even know.
Yeah. So pretty much all the water you drink is just from a stream or a river that you're next to.
Yeah.
And then food gets pretty boring because you can only really eat processed packaged stuff and you're generally and you're generally buying it because it's light and easy to cook, so it's not really the greatest tasting.
Yeah. My God, that's literally a different way of traveling that I would never even think like that. I didn't even know it was that hardcore. Like you had to take 9 days worth of food type thing. Like I can't believe you did that. Just done a 3-day hike and you're like, fuck it, I'm going to do a hike which is 135 more days than what I practiced before.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty hard to get your head around, but I found it easiest if you just like broke everything down into sections. Like, didn't think of like the overall goal of getting to the bottom. You just like think I'm just getting to the next town, which is only like 50 k's away, or
That's crazy. So that will bring me, I guess, into the next one. Is what was like one of the biggest physical challenges you faced? Because right now I'm just thinking of like your back or your fucking legs or getting shin splints or something. So is there a physical, like, goddamn?
The thing I struggled most with was just the outright walk to the pack. I didn't get any injuries on the trail, which is quite good. I managed to stay away from those, but it was just more just the physical weight of the pack on your back for 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day. Just you end up with real sore traps, and then your feet get pretty mangled when you first start. Like the first 3 weeks, I had some pretty horrific blisters show up. One was like the size of my entire heel. It was big enough that I decided to name it.
Oh my God. Fucking hectic.
But like after that, your body just gets used to the constant abuse, and like so just your normal night's sleep is enough to like recover for the most part and feel fine again the next day.
Yeah. And did you get used to sleeping? Sorry, go.
And your feet, they get quite a bit harder. Like after those first 3 weeks, I didn't get any blisters.
Yeah.
Till the bottom. So they just become just callous. The bottom of my feet.
Just become harder. That is dope. Yeah, I was gonna say, is it hard to sleep out there or anywhere? Or do you kind of just get to a point where your body's like, fuck it, I can sleep anywhere now? Like you're not precious about needing noises or light. You just pass out.
Most nights you go to bed pretty early, and I'm a pretty heavy sleeper, so I never really had any trouble sleeping. Like my friend I was walking with, quite a few nights he'd struggled sleeping just because there'd be possums out in the trees around us, or just not a great spot to sleep. But I didn't really have that problem. I was just straight tonked out.
That's good. And is that how much you're walking a day? About 9 or 10 hours or so?
Yeah. So we averaged 22 Ks a day.
Oh my God! Did you have a little stepper watch? How many steps is that? That's fucking hectic.
Yeah. So I ended up calculating all my steps because my watch saved them all, and it came to 4,200,000 and something thousand.
The best step
so
program
just a few.
ever. Oh my God.
Yeah. So the most steps I did in a day was 66,000.
That is absolutely mental. When I used to coach at a gym, walking non-stop and doing 7 classes, the most I ever did was 22,000, and that was, what the fuck? Bro, I think with this type of journey, if you were to find that out before you took it on, you may be mate, you're going to do 4 million steps. Probably not, but luckily, as you said, you broke it down.
Yeah.
You were just fuck it, let's go, Hamish.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's definitely one of the, if I had known a whole lot of stuff when I started, I probably would have thought a bit harder about it. But
heard you. Nah, let's go.
It molded me.
Oh my God. And what were some of the biggest mental challenges or a mental challenge that you often faced in the 138 days?
Rain was probably one of the bigger mental challenges, just because you're out in the open, there's nowhere really to hide from it.
And you're walking through it, I guess. Yeah.
And you're just walking through it. So, there's been, I think the worst I had was about a week straight of just pretty heavy torrential rain.
Just soaked, everything soaked.
Yeah.
Your tent, your shoes.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah, so I had a rain jacket for the bag, which went over, and it did a fair bit, and the rest of everything inside it was in a big dry bag as well. So for the most part, my dry clothes and sleeping bag and stuff were always dry, but the rest got pretty wet.
That's crazy.
Trudging through the rain. Some days that the track would be up around our ankles, and in water.
Because you would have got most seasons. Or New Zealand's quite rainy anyway. Because was it summer when you did it, or was it?
Yeah. So I started on the 2nd of September and finished on the 18th of Jan. So I was early spring.
Yeah.
By the time I finished, summer was in full swing. But we got snow a couple times, and they got pretty cold. It was raining for the first half of the morning, and in the afternoon it was snowing on us.
Yeah.
Which was a bit grim.
Dude, that would have broke me. I don't even know what's worse, walking in rain covered, carrying all your shit, or walking in the blistering heat, or just freezing through snow. You just felt every single element at its core, and not even you're just sitting down waiting for a bus or something. You're no, I have to walk for 10 fucking hours through this. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I guess, side question, was there any time throughout the journey that you wanted to quit, or you maybe thought you weren't going to finish, or you just this is too much, or maybe every day, or maybe not at all?
So definitely the first few days, you start and you walk along 90 Mile Beach, so it's 100 Ks of walking on the beach. And so we got sand blinding your face and wind, and the sand is just really uncomfortable to walk on for that period of time. It was hard sand for the most part, but it's just real jarring on all your joints and stuff.
kilos on your back as well.
Yeah, and that was just adjusting to that. So that was pretty tough. And like the mental battle walking along that beach was was a lot bigger than I thought as well, because like it was just 100 k's of beach. The scenery didn't change or anything for like 4 straight days. Like you'd see something 5 k's in the distance, you'd be getting excited about something new, and then it's just another bit of seaweed or a bit of driftwood. You know, like there's nothing to stimulate your brain for like 4 days.
4 days of walking on the beach. Oh my God.
Yeah, but then the other time I thought about quitting was like 300 k's from the end. We got a week straight of rain, and like all the huts were staying in, had no fireplaces, so there was no drying of gear or anything. So it's just putting on wet clothes in the morning and continuing on. Yeah, it got pretty grim.
That would make me so grumpy. I get so affected by the weather. I get like, you're literally my hero.
Yeah.
I didn't know this is so hardcore. That is like putting on wet clothes.
Yeah, the only thing that pulled me through was I rocked up to a hut one afternoon, and there were 2 hunters in there, and they had the fire going, and so they got me a cup of tea and fed me and everything, and then fed me up with some beers once they realised what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then the next day they walked into the town. Well, they walked me into the town nearby and bought me lunch and shouted me some more beers and just went way out of their way to help me out, and that sort of picked the mood up and kept me going.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so nice, and something they probably didn't realise would have affected you so intensely. But for you, like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Nice people. Right, so what did you learn about yourself, I guess, mentally and physically? But yeah, I guess that mentally from this journey that maybe you didn't know before.
Mentally, like, I definitely learned like how to like phase that little bitch voice out in the background. The one that, how you just psych yourself out when everything's hard and I can't do this. Like it's too hard. You just, when you're having to walk up a hill that's like 1,000 meters high and it's just never ending, you just sort of phase it out.
Yeah.
Just forget about it. And then 10 minutes later, you're stoked you did it.
Yeah.
And like half the time, like when you did want to quit, you generally had to walk like 3 days back
to quit
to get to civilization, or you keep walking forward for 3 days to get to your next goal. Like, so that was always a good way to
make sure you go
remember
forward.
that.
You're like, I'm fucking may as well
keep
go
going
3 days
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would.
And the old self-doubt, like learning not to doubt yourself before giving something a go is like definitely a lot higher in the list now.
Yeah. Of course.
There's some pretty hectic environments you end up walking through. And just some of the time I was by myself and you'd be like, should I be doing this? Or like, just finding ways to talk yourself out of it, but in the end you're all good.
Yeah. I think that would have been the hardest thing too, the mental battle, and like you met people along the way, but there was no one really like with you or like who knew everything that was going through your head, or you couldn't talk to someone through it, and like, and then in your head you're like, oh, I said I was going to do it, or I've told a few people I'm going to do it. I don't want to keep going. Fuck, what am I doing? And especially in the early days, but cool, I have 120 days left or so, and you just that constant like battle between yourself, and you're like, well, fuck it, we've come this far, let's keep going. It's like, oh, I can stop now, but well, if you go back, then you might just keep going for, and it just would have been like some days where you're like, what am I doing? And then, but I guess that's what makes it all the more rewarding when you actually finish. You're like, I cannot believe what I just achieved. It would have been an insane accomplishment for sure. Yeah,
like usually like half hour after like a real challenging moment, you get to like the top of a hill and you get rewarded with all these mean-as views, or you see some native birds or something that real cool like that, and it's all just all the hardship was forgotten about pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And so, did you meet people along the way in the sense, like what was that like? Or was it just kind of people through the towns? You'd be like, hello, or there's anyone that you like organized to meet along the way? Or what type of people did you meet on the journey, if any?
So we met quite a few people doing the trail, doing the same walk as us.
Yeah.
You meet them throughout the way, which is pretty cool. Like just seeing, like we met a 70-year-old guy who was doing the same thing. And yeah, just kicking ass like at 70.
Out now.
Yeah, he'd climbed Everest a couple times, and like you're just a real inspirational dude, just who doesn't let age set him back.
That would have been motivating for sure. Like, okay, I'm young, I'm healthy as fuck. He's 70. What am I complaining about?
What am I complaining about? Yeah, hard. And there's a group of people called trail angels. They're people who like live along the trail, and they open their house up to hikers to like stay in, and they let you shower, and they feed you, and just host you. And so getting to meet like a whole lot of them was pretty cool. Like we met some that lived like in the bush. They had no running water, no power, no flushing toilet. Just lived in a shed, and they were just like some of the most happy people you ever met. It's pretty crazy just seeing all walks of life. Like we stay with people who are really well off and had a guest house, and then we stay with the people just who had nothing, and it's just crazy seeing how happy everyone is at different stages of life.
Yeah, that's absolutely hectic. And I think we forget like that people still may live like that, like the people with no toilet or stuff like that. I don't know. To me, you just don't think like we all live in the same type of life. You're like, no, they're out there and they're so happy, and that would be a spin out to see. And they just, that's awesome though as well.
Yeah, you don't really realize how big poverty is in some instances.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome for the angels. All right, so I want to ask, so often after big challenges, some people don't realize it's quite depressing, once completed, because your major goal and all that you've worked towards is kind of over. Not that it's even kind of close, but when I used to compete and shit, I used to get it after. It used to be like a hangover or a period of depression, because it was like everything I worked towards and it was over, and I was like, oh God, and it's very hard to explain. So I guess, did you feel like this, or any sort of weird way that you didn't expect to once your journey was completely done?
Yeah, I definitely experienced that, like real depressive, like it's over sort of feeling. Like for the first probably 2 weeks afterwards, you just felt quite flat, just because like the goal that you'd been aiming for so many months had just all of a sudden gone behind you, and there was nothing really big to look forward to.
Yeah.
Like when I finished, like I was all smiles and happy, like got all my photos taken, and then I turned around to walk away because I had to get a hitchhike back to the town I was staying in.
Yeah. And
like 5 minutes down the road, it sort of sunk in that I'd finished. I had to have a sit down and just had a big fat cry and like just processed it all properly.
Yeah.
It was quite I wasn't really expecting it to hit me like that.
Yeah. It is. It does though, and it's so common, but it's very hard to explain. And if someone's never kind of been in the same position, they're like, "What do you mean you achieved this amazing feat? Like you're sad because like it's done?" And you say, "Yes, but it is. It's just like everything you've been working towards. It's grueling. It's hard. It's your purpose at that point in time." And then it's like taken away, and it's like, "Yeah, I'm happy, but like fuck, like fuck." And yeah, it's literally like sad. It's somber. It's kind of like living in a ghost town, or like you just don't know, and it's all you've ever talked about, and then. Yeah, and if people bring it up, we're like, how was it, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's sad to talk about it because it's like, you're reminding me that it's over now. But, yeah, it is. So was it hard to adapt back to normal life? I can't really imagine, like, because obviously in the beginning it was really fucking hard, but then after you've been on the road for a while, again, I can't really compare to something that's hardcore, but like you kind of live in a beautiful way, and you're like with nature, and you like realize that you don't really need much. Like, was it hard kind of going back to your normal life, like type thing, or was it okay?
Yeah. I really enjoyed just being out in the sticks, like away from everyone. And when I got home, I was like, man, I have so many clothes, like so many possessions. Like, why do I have so many? I need to sell all this shit.
Yeah.
Just got used to just only carrying what I needed, and everything else is just surplus.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a bit of adjusting to get back to that, and like using a phone and communicating with people again via that. Because I got my screen time down to about 40 minutes a day.
That's perfect. Yes.
Yeah. Only using it to take photos and make sure it's going the right way.
That's awesome. Then in regards to like, you probably realized how much time like you spend on your phone or on little things that are pointless. Like, cause I do that too. I was saying my screen time, it makes me sick. It's like 6 hours. And then during quarantine when I couldn't do anything, it was 11 hours. And I was like, what am I doing on my phone for 11 hours? It's like, that's a full-time job. That's disgusting. So it's like, but then when I went to Thailand and was in this retreat, my phone time was like 50 minutes a day, and I was doing activities for like 8 hours a day, but still getting the same amount of shit done that I normally would on my phone. And then it just kind of made me realize, like, I've been wasting a lot of my life. And if someone says like, what did you do in your 20s? Like, one of my answers will have to be, I was on my phone. And that's so crazy now that I know how much I don't need it. So I guess, coming back to the real world and being so disconnected, and then, but realizing it kind of doesn't really make you any less happy, like to be away from your phone or that connected. That would have been, I guess, a bit of an abrupt realization, or at least hopefully you can take that into your life as well. Yeah,
well, you don't really realize how like involved everyone is with their phones until you like take that step back as well. Like, you just, when you're walking through towns and you just see everyone with their heads down on the phone rather than like up looking around, like it's crazy.
Yeah, it almost is crazy. And doing a trip like that, I guess probably just maybe blew your mind when you walked back into a big city. Like a girl, Diana, who I interviewed just before you, she was working in a big city in America, went to Tulum, saw everyone so happy when COVID hit, had to go back home. And she reckons she just like spun out at like everyone, same thing, just like head down on their phone, fighting over toilet paper, everyone getting like angry at work. She literally just sold everything, fucked off, and went back to Tulum to help them build a school. Which is like, after just the juxtaposition of the two, like I just realized how, I guess, silly the life I was living was, and how happy all these people who had absolutely nothing were. And it was just so much harder to go back to like, I guess, big city life after all of that. And I'm like, I can definitely feel that. It is, that's one of my favorite things about traveling as well. Once you kind of realize or see people who have nothing who are so happy, or like you lived with nothing and are so happy, it's like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's definitely made me want to stay away from the big cities.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you learn, I guess you've semi-already answered this, but about like what you need to live, maybe, you've already touched on like simplicity, or things that or possibly things that you're grateful for now that you weren't before.
Definitely like grateful for like friends and family. Just with how much they supported me, like fully, no matter what I asked, like someone would be there to help out if I needed it. Which was super good. And like I spent Christmas alone, like fully by myself, and so you definitely come to appreciate the friendships and companionship you do have with people. I also learned that I don't need a big flash house or anything like that to be happy. Like just a shack with a kitchen and a bathroom and would be pretty sweet somewhere remote.
Yeah, basic needs. That's all I need.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Are there any other trails or hikes or anything that you're looking at, or you're kind of just like done for now? 138 days has done you, or is there something in your mind?
I'm looking at doing one in America in a couple of years if all the COVID stuff sorts itself out. It's called the Pacific Crest Trail, and so that runs from the border of Mexico up through California, Washington, and Oregon to the border of Canada. So basically the length of the state.
And how long does it take? That's amazing.
That one's 4,500 Ks and takes about 6 months.
Oh my God. The shit that you would see though, and the difference in terrain from like fucking Mexico to Portland would be insane. And the people you'd meet as
apparently
well.
And it's way bigger trail, like way more well known, and so many more people on it, so you do meet a whole lot more people. But it'd be interesting just going from like the desert in California to then up like 4,000 meters in the air with snow-capped mountains everywhere.
That is beautiful. And is there any training physically that now that you've done this one, you kind of either like wish you would have done, or any like, I guess like gym-esque type training that you're like, I need to do that before I go? Or is it kind of now you know better to pace yourself, or what works and what doesn't?
Not really. Like I think just a good base level of fitness is training enough. Like you can't really, no one's really got the time to just prep walking with a bag on your back for 9 hours, and it's low impact enough.
Yeah.
And it's low impact enough that it doesn't really like mess your joints up or anything. Like if you just jump into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a good base level of fitness is probably all the training I would really be worried about. Maybe fair few squats and that beforehand, but that'd be about it.
Yeah, all in all, good. Alrighty, so my final question to you is something that you wish you would have known before you taken off, or advice that you wish you'd been able to have access to. I guess advice to younger Joey, but before the trail.
Ooh, I wish I had known just how heavy water actually is when you have to carry it for a long period of time.
It's fucking heavy, man.
That shit is heavy, man. Like, there'd be a few days where we'd have to carry like 4 liters of water because there'd be no water on our trail, so you had to carry literally everything you needed until you got to the campsite.
Yeah.
And so there's like an extra 4 kilos in your bag just so you can drink.
Survive.
It's ridiculous, just so you can survive. It's a crazy weight, really.
It is. Oh my god.
Because like when we had a full bag of like food and water, some of the days it begins close to about 30 kilos.
Yeah.
Which is about a third of my body weight. So it definitely got a bit tiresome, but just enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
Like don't try and get too caught up on where you're going to be each night. Like just like taking what you're seeing.
Yeah. And I think it would have forced you to do that in life as well, especially at the times when it got hard. And you're like, if you were in your own head, like, I can't wait to get here, can't wait, blah, blah, it would have got to a point where, like, you're making this hell for yourself. If you continue to think this way, it's not going to make it easier. You need to walk 3 days. I don't give a fuck if you don't want to. You have to. And it's like, so enjoy it, stop, appreciate it. Otherwise, this is going to be a lot worse than it has to be. And it's not exactly easy.
Yeah, it was definitely easy to just get in a rush and just start thinking about the next destination. But once you stopped and like looked around, like there was one moment in Southland where I was listening to a podcast or something, and I looked up and there was this little baby deer like being 20 meters away from me, and it saw me and then it started running towards me. And then it just hung out with me for about 40 minutes.
Really?
Just walking with me, let me pat it, and it was super friendly. I don't know what had happened to its mum because it's still real young, but like I could have missed that if I was just like focusing on something else.
That is so beautiful. Literally nature coming up to you in a situation like that. You're like, is this a sign? Like, it's all good?
Yeah. It was so out of it.
Yeah. Refreshing as. It's beautiful. Aww. Alrighty, well, that's actually all the questions that I have for you, even though I could talk to you forever about it, because you're crazy and wonderful. But I just want to say thank you so much, I guess, for your time, first and foremost. I know everybody's busy, so thank you. And also, like, you're hectic. I don't know if you understand, like, what you did, but I didn't even know it was as hardcore as what you just said. Like, so you're my physical hero. I could never walk 138 days or do 4 million steps and still be positive. Like, that is grueling as hell. So well done to you for pushing through, like, both physically but more so mentally, like walking in rain with 30 kilos on my back and knowing I have 3 days of this at least, and then the week where it rained, like a lot of people would have given up. And I may have been one of those people. So fucking well done. You're an absolute legend. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on and explaining that. You're crazy, but awesome.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, Anita.
Alrighty. Have a good day. Thank you. Right, bye.
You too.